Hey everyone, welcome to today's webinar. I am Joe with Inktavo and SignTracker, here to help teach you about tasks. So I'm going to change the names a little bit to protect the innocent, but it wasn't that long ago that I was in a shop and I was sitting in the office of the owner and just chatting about SignTracker and how it could be helpful. And in the course of a 30-minute conversation, we were interrupted at least a half a dozen times with employees and team members asking, "Hey, what do I do next?" And we never even really got through the webinar together, to be honest. And I don't know if they went on to use SignTracker. I'm going to just leave that at that. But I understand that. I mean, I ran a shop, and there was lots of times where we were, interrupted. What do I do next? What do I do next? And task management really helped to solve that. So. A couple things. We are on the dashboard right now. So before we jump into this webinar today, I wanted to just remind you of all the resources that are here in SignTracker on the dashboard. We have a help center, a quick start guide, a step-by-step guide to setting up your account, tons of training videos, recorded webinars. So today's will be uploaded at some point soon. We also have a Facebook group. And if you're not on Behind the Signs, it is a great group on Facebook. Lots of resources in the file section. There's individual chats in the chat section for everything related to sales and fabrication and installation, and lots of helpful folks on there answering questions. It's a great place to show off your work as well and to give advice. Also, we have webinars that we do twice a week. So I'd really like to invite you. You can come to any of them or all of them. I always encourage folks too, if you have a new team member that joins your company, go ahead and send them to a couple of these webinars because we will at least teach them the basics of the system. Now, you might have to sit down with them and show them a little bit about how you tweaked it for your shop, but you don't at least have to start with the basics. So, and we have webinars going on. If for some reason I'm out of town at a trade show, we direct you to recorded webinars. But other than that, I am here and they're live and we can ask you can ask questions or whatever, and we'll even take some time after this webinar today to answer any questions. So let's dive into tasks. So I'm going to close this screen because we don't really need it. You're going to find tasks well, there's two places we're going to talk about tasks. One is the job within the job itself. So let's go to the job flow board, and we'll come back to the task list in a second. And then we'll go into any job. So when a customer calls in, of course, you set up the job. You've probably already got that far. And then you can start adding tasks. So this job is and this job's an older job, so it has a lot of tasks already on it. So I'm going to actually take you to a different job, and we'll go to one that I just set up recently. So let's go to this one. So this job is a new job that I just set up recently, and it has a smaller task list, which is good. So basically, what you do, if you came into this job fresh, for example, I'm going to just delete these tasks here, and we'll start with a clean slate. Okay, so this is a brand new job. You've set it up. It's on the job flow board. It's been approved by the customer. It's in production, and you probably have already applied a task template by now. But basically, if you are new to SignTracker, there's 3 or 4 templates that are already pre-built for you. So you would just choose whichever template, mostly pertains to whatever project. And you can have pretty generic lists too. I mean, because most projects have at least some similar steps. And you can also have product specific task lists as well. But so you select a template, and then the template will spit out these tasks. Now, it doesn't mean you can't delete some of them. It's not going to hurt the template. And it also doesn't mean you can't add a new task. So let's say in this project, you needed to get some color samples to a client. You can add a task on the fly, save it. If you're kind of crazy like I am, you like to see things in the list of the way they need to be done, that's fine. You're not going to always come into the job to find your daily tasks. Usually you're going to go to the task list. But to set up these templates for the first time or to edit the ones that are in there, you basically just apply it to a job. You can add more tasks, organize them, and then just save the task as a template. And if it's already a template that's existing, you're just making changes to, you can click it, the name, and then just go okay, and it'll update it. So, but you see here where we have templates with team. I'll talk about that first right now for a second too. Let's close this. If you're a smaller shop and let's say you have one designer and that one person does all the design work, or maybe you're a little bigger, you do electric signs and you have one person that manages all the permits. These particular tasks can be assigned to people. So I can come in here and say, okay, I'm going to assign this to Joe and I'm going to save it. It's assigned to Joe. And then I can come over here and I can save this task template as banner with team. And so that way there, you don't have to go through the exercise of assigning them every single time. But in any case, that's just in setting up your templates. And if you want to set up a brand new template, there's two places you can do that. I think it's really easier to do it right inside the job here, but you can go to the settings. So if I'm over here, I go to setup, go to settings, and you'll see task templates there as well. But really, you could just come to a job. It's a blank screen, add a task number one, task number two, task number three, task number seven, whatever. And then you just organize them exactly the way you want and then save it as a template, and then it'll be there forever. So let's go ahead and cancel that. Now, the idea is that you're doing a little resource planning, right? So, and resource could be people um, or it might be that this task is the design task or whatever. But if you know that this project is due on the 25th of April, that means I have to have this color sample. For example, I have to have this completed no later than the 4th if I'm going to hit this date. So the idea is that, this task is going to be assigned to this person and we're going to save it. And this one has to be, done by no later than this date. So you get the idea. So each of these tasks are assigned in the order to hit this due date. You can also write notes on these too. So let's say, see Joe before you start this task, and I'll just go ahead and save it. Now, then you go through and assign the rest of them. Now, two things. Once a job has a due date, it is going to show up on the calendar, and it's also going to show up in the task list. And if there's an email in the system for this person, they'll get an email reminder as well. So let's go to the job task list. But basically how it works is if I'm coming to work in the morning, I'm just going to go to the task screen, get my morning cup of coffee, and I'm going to say, okay, I'm signed in as me. It's going to default being signed in as me. And again, if you're really using this and assigning dates, I mean, most likely they're going to hit today, you know, obviously this is my demo account, but so I can see, I'll just go anytime, but they're going to hit today and they're going to see like, all the tasks that are still active that they have to complete. And what's great is like, let's say, for example, your job is to run the printer. Well, I see that in this task is to print banner. I can just click this right from here. It'll take me inside the job. I basically go to the attachments and I can download that production file and start running the printer right from there. But the most important thing is that your team members are set up for success here because they can come to work in the morning. They don't have to find you. They don't have to find anybody. They can just come here, log in, and see exactly what they have to do and start working on it. And they can make notes too. So let's say, for example, um, let's see if we have one here, client approval. I always like this one. Say, it's in progress, right? I'm waiting for the client to sign off on this, and the client once again blew me off, but I know that I need to follow up. So I can say, okay, well, I'm going to follow up on the 31st, and I'm going to write call client for deposit, right? So they're gonna sign off on this thing, and then from here, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and reassign the date, and I'll go to Monday, and so I know now. Again, I'm gonna get an email reminder. It has now moved the due date on the calendar to the correct due date. And then I can, when I come to work on Monday, I know I got to call and go get a deposit. So I really, for me, I kept the screen open all day at work. And if I was working on jobs and an additional task came up, I would just go new task, I would add it, whatever. But then it allowed my to-do list to be out of my mind and not stress me out as much because I knew it was here. And I knew as long as I checked in on my task list, that I would get these things done. Or if for some reason the date needed to change or it needed to be bumped a little bit, at least I could do that here and then know that I wasn't going to just get forgotten. So, but I would really encourage you, I've heard this a few times, and you know, I'll say this as nicely as I can. When I've heard owners say to me, I just couldn't get my employees to use it. I'm just going to throw this out there. Who's the boss, man? You know, I mean, make this part of your system because it's going to help everyone. And in the end, even though adoption sometimes is a little bit challenging, it's an ingredient for everybody's success. And you need to provide the tools that you need to provide the system and the tools that your employees need to be successful. And tasks and task management is one of them. So anyway, thank you all so much. I know this is just a short little video today, short little webinar. We're going to take a quick pause. We'll take some questions. And if you don't have any questions, then we'll see you next time. Make sure you join us for any one of our webinars that you can find on the dashboard. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Bye. Thanks so much for checking out SignTracker, and be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on YouTube.